Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Blogs Bazaar. I'm Zara Brimby and you're listening to a week in women's and men's sport in Australia. So we're going to start off with the last home and away round of the AFLW. So the weekend started off with a game between GWS and the Brisbane Lions. The Lions came out of the blocks early, kicking 6-2 to the Giants 1-1. In the second quarter, the scoring slowed up with the Lions kicking 1-1 to GWS's 2 points. After the main break, the Giants kicked 2-2 to the Lions 1-1. The Lions kept the momentum going in the last term, kicking 2 goals to the Giants 3 points to let the Lions win the game easily 64-24. The Lions had the most kicks and disposals, but the Giants had the most handballs, 73-65. Sabrina Frederick-Traub was the leading goal kicker, kicking 4 for the day, with Jess Wushner close behind, kicking 3 goals too. Ali Anderson racked up the most disposals with 25, and Emily Bates close behind with 21. Nat Exon led the way in tackles, counting 7. The first game on the Saturday to be played was between Fremantle and Carlton over in the West. At the end of the first quarter, the Dockers led 2-2 to Carlton's 2 goals. By the time of the main break, Carlton was leading 3-5-23 to Fremantle's 3-2-20. By the end of the third term, the Dockers got back on top, kicking 3-2 to Carlton's 2-2. Dockers kept on top through the last quarter, kicking 3-1 to Carlton's 1-5 to win by 11. Fremantle led in all kicks, handballs and disposals. Amy Lavelle from Fremantle and Taylor Harris from Carlton were equal leading goal kickers, kicking 2 goals, 1 each, and Alison Downey from the Dockers kicking 2 goals. Dana Hooker counted the most touches with 25 and Lisa Webb had the second most with 16. Ebony Antonio counted the most tackles with 10. The second game on Saturday was between the Western Bulldogs and Melbourne, fighting for a spot in the grand final. Melbourne started off well, kicking 1-1 to the Bulldogs 0. The Western Bulldogs finally got a score on the board in the second term, kicking 3-2 to Melbourne's 1 goal. In the third term, the Bulldogs didn't score again, but Melbourne managed to kick 1-6 to take Melbourne's lead to 5. The Dogs put another score on the board in the last quarter, kicking 2-1 to Melbourne's 1 goal to put the Dogs into the grand final by 2 points. In a very close and tight game, the Bulldogs still managed to lead in kicks, handballs and disposals. Karen Paxman was the leading goal kicker, kicking 1 goal too. She also led in disposals, counting 22, and Emma Carney close behind with 20. Jenna Brunton came away with the most tackles, counting 10. The last game of the home and away season was between the Adelaide Crows and Collingwood. The Crows came out firing, kicking 2-5 to Collingwood's 1-1. Adelaide kicked 2-1 in the second term, while Collingwood kicked 2 goals. After the main break, Collingwood kicked 2-2 while they kept Adelaide scoreless all throughout the second half. In the last quarter, Collingwood kicked 3-2 to win by 21 and shatter the reigning premier's chances of being in the grand final. Jazzy Garner was the leading scorer, kicking 3 goals, and Christina Bernardi kicking 2 herself. Jamie Lambert ranked up the most touches, counting 19, while Jess Duffin counted 18. Ebony Marinoff kept her style going throughout the season, counting 8 tackles. With this being the end of the home and away season, you pretty much needed a calculator to work out who was going to be in the grand final. So whoever won the match between the Dogs and Melbourne headed straight to the grand final. Then if the Crows won against the Pies, the Crows would head into the grand final. But because the Pies won and the Lions won by heaps against GWS, the Lions went into the grand final against the Dogs. So the big day arrived on the 24th of March between the Brisbane Lions and the Western Bulldogs at Icon Park. After a tough week for Katie Brennan and being suspended for the grand final, the Dogs didn't let that distract them from the big dance, with Ellie Blackburn taking on the skipper's role. It was a tight one the whole game, with the Lions taking the early lead 1-7 to the Dogs' 1 point. The second quarter was completely scoreless for both teams, with a tight midfield contest in the rain. After the main break, the Lions didn't score, but the Dogs kicked 3-1 to take the lead to 13. The Dogs kept going, kicking 1-1 to the Lions 2-2, but it still wasn't enough for the Lions, going down by 6 points. The Lions by far had the most kicks, handballs and disposals, but couldn't quite get the job done for the second year in a row. Monique Conti won Player of the Match for her 13 disposals and her amazing goal. Leading scorer was Jess Wushner, who kicked 2-1. Kate Lutkins had the most disposals, counting 21, with Jamie Stanton close behind with 20. Nat Exon and Angelica Gogos equally counted the most tackles with 9 each. Thanks for listening to this week's episode. This is Blogs by Zara, and we'll see you next week.
He's got a couple of metres on Ferris. Can't pick up the slippery ball. Ferris puts her body in over the top of it. Conway wraps her up. Umpire calls for it. Wushner at the top. Gathers it.
Inject herself. She's worn closely by Conan. It's going to be an impressive matchup today. Blackburn tries to drive the legs. Tackled. Blackburn to Carney.
You can see already nudge as well. Brisbane Lions paired off all over the ground. They're not folding back. They're not putting numbers behind the ball. They've adjusted that quickly already.
5 metres out from the Bulldogs' goal. Randall a tap down to Lamb. She can't get a kick away. She's taken down by Gibson. Ball spills free. Conan. Quick hands picked off. Lamb gets it on her boot. Spirals it towards the goal square. Bouncing football misses left.
Plenty at that. She can set herself from here. Lowers the vision. A peach of a kick. Wushner with her first look of the afternoon.
Great passage from... Oh, here we go.
Wushner, good heads-up play. And the slips catch to Conway. When she kicked 2 goals, she's continued that season on. A goal last week. To get the Lions on the way. And thump the kick forward. Conway has got the drop here on Wilds. It'll sit for her. Kick 2 in round 3. Can she get 2 in the opening quarter of the granny? Push it across the face. Bulldogs ball. So
inside 50, looks for Sabrina Frederick-Troll, but standing away, Spark. Umpire calls play on. Bates puts the foot down, gives it to Wushner. Slight fumble. Gogos runs her down. Affects the kick, and it's a minor score to the Lions.
Quarter time, too good. Traps it. Conti looking for some space and can work her way away from Clark, but the bounce.
Clear out, girls. Clear out 10 metres. Clear out of the back.
Sideways. Carney will corral Wushner.